When it comes to using resistance in the water, the focus is almost entirely on developing power, strength, and speed. While resisted swimming can definitely accomplish those goals, it can also be used to accomplish a different goal and perhaps a more important goal. Hi everyone, Andrew here, helping you help your swimmers get faster. And in this video, I'm going to show you how resisted swimming can actually be used to strengthen skills, make them more robust, and make them more effective. Let's check it out. Fatigue kills skills. When swimmers get tired, in almost all cases, the skills are going to start to go. And so with training, we can help to mitigate that. We can delay fatigue, and they can swim well for longer because the longer it takes for them to get tired, the better they're going to swim. And they can learn how to execute while fatigued and still swim well. So with effective training, it can be longer before they get tired in the first place. And secondly, we can help them learn how to manage their fatigue to continue to execute their skills. So the more resilient we can make skills, the better they're going to hold up in the last quarter of the race when things really start to get shaky and swimmers are really become challenged. And traditional training approaches really do a great job of developing the physiological capacity and the skill to hold things together when things become tough. That's the foundation, that's the starting point, but once we've laid that foundation, it's possible to do more. To take things to the next level, we can use resistance to build resilience. If swimmers can get better at performing a skill with resistance, it's easier to perform that skill without resistance. So they can learn to delay fatigue even more, and they can have more strength to execute that skill when fatigue does occur. So with traditional approaches, we're probably focusing a little bit more on the metabolic capacity to delay fatigue and to withstand the impact of fatigue. But with resistance, we're working more on the muscular side of it. So by providing swimmers with more strength, more capacity to execute a skill, we can also delay fatigue and make it more manageable when swimmers do start to get tired. And that's just with basic resisted swimming. Once we start doing resistant swimming with fatigue and speed, we can take it to the next level. And so if swimmers can execute their skills against fatigue when they get tired, it's going to be a lot easier for them to execute their skills with fatigue and no resistance as they'll experience at the end of their races. Likewise, the more swimmers can execute against loaded speed, then everything else becomes easier when they're swimming both slower and without that resistance. So by challenging skills with resistance, we don't just make them better, we make them more robust to the demands of racing, and we help swimmers learn how to hold it together when things get tough. So the idea here is to strengthen skills. So we execute skills under higher loads, resistance loads, over and over and over again. And when we do, it gets easier and easier to execute without load. The more swimmers can execute against resistance, the easier it's going to be to execute without resistance. However, it's not just swimming against resistance. There has to be an execution focus when swimmers are doing so. The better they can execute under load, the more resilient they're going to be, and the better they're going to be able to execute without the load. And we can apply this to any type of training. So for instance, we can use some sort of resistance in an aerobic type of set with 10 100s. We can do it in some sort of race set or pace set with 450s. We can do repeat high intensity efforts, 16 by 25, something like that. And we can do speed efforts, something like 8 times 20 meters. Regardless of the type of training, we can create a skill and strength overload with the resistance, and the stronger swimmers get within that skill, the easier it's going to be to execute that skill without the added resistance. So rather than only focusing on the metabolic capacities necessary to delay fatigue and manage fatigue, which are undoubtedly critical, we can also layer in the muscular ability to manage fatigue and delay fatigue in order to help swimmers go faster. And we want to make swimmers even more resilient and increase the challenge. We can go heavier where the loads are higher. We can go longer so they swim against the loads for longer distances or durations. We can go faster so they're swimming at higher speeds. You can use stroke rate and stroke count to challenge the skills even further with the same load. You can take less rest. You can do more volume, more repetition. You can resist and load drills, and you can use different types of resistance. There's tons of different ways to challenge skills and help build resilience in those skills by making them stronger. It's only limited by your creativity and your ability to think about how you want to specifically challenge skills so that they can hold up in races when it matters most. So here are a few simple examples of how to strengthen skills. We've got 1675's backstroke with a light parachute. They're going to descend in groups of 4 at the same stroke count, add a stroke each set of 4, and go faster. And so here, they're swimming against the resistance. They've got to be really efficient. They've got to create speed. And the more consistently they can do that, the more resilient they're going to be. The stronger those skills are, the stronger the ability to maintain efficiency, and it's going to be easier to do when they take the resistance off and do it without the resistance. Next set through, they're going to go 3 rounds of 825s. They're minimizing stroke count and time. They're going to go pull buoy and a parachute on the first round, so we're going to challenge the upper body. They're going to go drag socks on the second round, challenge the lower body, and we're going to go parachute on the third round, challenge the whole body. And so we're asking swimmers to repeatedly try to go fast and stay long against the resistance, and that's going to make it easier to go fast and stay long without the resistance. So we're building resilience, we're building strength in the skill of creating speed and length at the same time, and that's going to have a bigger impact than if we just did the same set without the resistance. Last set, 4 rounds through, they're going to go 350s, one-arm butterfly plus drag socks, descend 1 to 3 to strong, and then 4 times 25, then 4 25s with 5 cycles head-up butterfly, and then butterfly into the wall. Those are with drag socks as well, 50 butterflies, solid effort. So what we're training here is the ability to maintain a really consistent kick, to maintain really consistent butterfly kicking rhythm and kick timing. And the more we can do that, the more we can train that skill, the more likely it is it's going to hold up under load in a race. And by doing it with resistance, we're developing the muscular aspect. So if they can be successful with the legs in this context against load, it's going to be that much easier to do without the load. So while resisted swimming in the water is a really effective strategy for developing strength and power, it's also a really effective strategy for developing really resilient and really strong skills. By challenging skills under pressure with load and doing so repeatedly, we can help swimmers become more robust and more effective at holding their skills together when things get difficult at the end of their races. If you want to learn another strategy about how to use resistance in a way you may not have considered before, check out the video below.